more people may pop on. Are you hearing me okay? Just get a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay, great. So welcome. This is the second in our Sunday Sangha series that runs from September 2025 through May 2026. And this series, our focus is on the whole life path. And we are also co-celebrating the 5th anniversary of Gregory Kramer's book on the whole life path and the relationship between the path factors and the whole of our lives. So thank you all for coming. Welcome. And today our Zoom host is Nancy. If you would wave your hand, Nancy. And if any time during this practice session you need support, technical or otherwise, please reach out to Nancy. I will also be available for support. And our practice guides today are Ayya, Anopama, and Nolitha, Tsengiwe. And we're Nancy and I and the rest of the coordinators, just much gratitude that you both said yes to this invitation. Ayya is an ordained Theravada Buddhist nun and shares practice with monastic and lay communities across the globe, as does Nolitha. Her home base is in South Africa, Johannesburg, as well, travels across continents to share both insight meditation and insight dialogue. And as a representative of the insight dialogue community, just offering you both so much gratitude for how generous you are in including this practice in what you share around the planet, and knowing that this is a very generous contribution to peace. So thank you both so much, two beloved teachers in our community. Deep bow, and I'll turn it over to you.
I'm noticing this feeling of delight, recognizing this good fortune that we have to gather as a community, global community. Gathered to cultivate for freedom. In a moment, myself and Ayya are going to share the theme for our practice today and share a little bit about our process of preparing what we're going to be offering you today. Just now, I'd like to invite you to pause, meaning just allow the mind to stop. Disengaging from this constant flow of thoughts, associated thoughts that become stories that capture the mind. And from this place of pausing, I'd like you to consider this question. What's your intention for being here with us today? In pausing, considering the same question, what comes to my mind is celebration. There's the celebration of what Anita already pointed to, of Gregory Kramer's work that has ripened into the book, The Whole Life Path, which gives me and you opportunity to practice with this material, to infuse the teachings in our daily lives. The second celebration, of course, is the celebration of spiritual friendship. This is a critical factor in this path. I think also why this is coming up, the time I spent with Ayya preparing and practicing. Noticing there's multiplying wholesome qualities that were arising between us, the care, the shared love for these teachings, but also quite delicious and delighting was the insights on this theme of right intention as the second of the 8 factors of the path, Noble Eightfold Path. Sammā Saṅkappa, translated to right thought, right intention. My own preference is the translation that says orienting. It's an orientation. It kind of helps me see, oh, I'm taking a certain direction with this thought. So that is our theme for contemplation today. One of the questions as we're preparing that we contemplated on was one's overall life orientation, life intention. I was surprised by what came up from just pausing. Allowing the mind to settle in the present moment. The response that came up on this question was, my life orientation is to seek comfort and avoid suffering. This surprised me, but there was something really powerful about making that conscious, because I could see, wow, Nolitha, if you're not careful with this, you could easily cause harm. Because as a person who tries to be a good Buddhist, I thought what would come up as my life orientation would be kindness, compassion, renunciation. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. So we're having this interesting conversation with Ayya, where we both referred to, in relation to this, to a teaching by Minkyu Rinpoche, who was here actually in South Africa about a month ago. So I sat with him. One of the things I heard him say that I'd not heard from another teacher was that this orientation towards seeking comfort, running away from suffering, is underpinned by compassion and love. I think, Ayya, you have some things to add on to this.
I just notice how inspired I am by listening to you, and the resonance of how true it is also for me. And I just wonder again, is there a shared intention? You know, what is our individual intention? What is actually an intention which is resonating with all of us, which might be in the depth of our hearts? And something which actually just arose before the session, and now that you named it, Nolitha, was this relationship between what's the heart's wish, what's the heart's deep wish, and orientation. Actually out from there flows the intention and the decisions which are being made. And that's also related to not want to suffer, not want to suffer. And explains why we are also seeking comfort in the search for happiness, and not as something to be condemned or through the lens of craving, but that lens you just named, that very seeking of happiness as an expression of love, that very seeking of not wanting to suffer as an expression of compassion. It's quite radical. So Nolitha and myself met a few times, and each time we discovered something different and some other insight came up. It felt a bit like we have this theme of right intention, and then we are coming from different doors, or sometimes we're coming even out through different doors, what we discovered. And we're looking also about when we look through the lens of renunciation, non-ill will, non-cruelty, how that actually applies when we bring it straight to the moment in the pause, when we pause. Not as something which sounds good, or because we learned it in the Buddhist teaching, or some good thing to cultivate, but actually how it's working in the moment, in relationship to ourselves, and how that also informs the relationship with others. And somehow the discovery was also when we pause. The pause itself is quite radical. Actually, it's an act of renunciation. And what we just found today is how interesting when we really pause, we are not following, at the same time we are letting go. That itself is an act of renunciation. And what then shines forth, flowing out of that, is kindness. And as a result, there won't be any cruelty. So it just kind of arose just a few hours ago as a natural interdependence, which just results from the very fact of pausing. There's not much to do. Instead, rather non-doing, non-following. And as I speak, I feel there's much more to be explored, and part of this offering this evening is actually to explore together and what may be discovered in the diet practice. So for now, we would like to invite you into a bit of a guided practice of individual meditation, so to speak, and then into contemplations, and then at the end open up into the large group. So just to give you a sense of the flow of the session. So right now you're invited just to settle into the pause with your body. And that may mean dropping the attention into the body and seeing what might be supportive for the next 10 or 15 minutes to allow your mind to settle into the here and now. And right there, awareness is already established. Even perhaps in this moment, an intention for sitting comfortably, supported, not to suffer. Just so simple. And as an act of kindness, supporting the body, however it can be supported, to be comfortable. So just now in this pause, noticing perhaps the currents of thoughts, the currents of sensations in the body, currents of energy levels fluctuating. And perhaps you may also notice some urges to follow the thought stream. Perhaps an urge to change something or making it different of what it is. And it's right there where this powerful possibility of releasing and allowing can be brought in intentionally. To not follow. Not as a demand, as a possibility. That in itself may lead to an immediate release of the urge. So just noticing how the intention of pausing and the intention to release or allow informs the present moment experience. And it may be a momentary intention, just for a second. Or it might be an orientation for the next few moments. See for yourself. What happens if these two intentions are applied or allowed repeatedly? What becomes possible? Perhaps there is a quality of rest, including all the movement. Whatever is moving. Perhaps there's a quality of spaciousness or more space. And perhaps in that is the quality of a gentle softness or kindness manifesting. See for yourself. without you doing anything, just as a result, a natural law of pause and relax. And at any moment, the possibility to renounce can be available. Not as an act of doing, and in this space of resting with movement, if it's accessible for you, see what emerges if you invite an intentional intention. What's your heart's wish right now? What does the heart mind wish to incline towards? Not as an ideal, not as an idea, but as a felt sense in this pause. Notice what the impact is on the body and the mind once you identified what has emerged. And then just let everything go and just rest without pause. without relax. Just sit and be. And I'm ringing a gong with my voice to allow this little practice to come to an end. Ding!
Pausing. Noticing what you notice in the present moment. Perhaps noticing also how is it to be together in this moment. After giving enough time to be more here. In following this guidance from Ayya. So our first contemplation on this teaching of right intention will focus on momentary intention. We can talk about intention in two ways. The present moment intention. What's the inclination of the mind in the present moment? We can also talk about the overall orientation of the mind in our lives. So in this first contemplation, you have an opportunity to observe, see the mind at work, notice specifically its orientation. I'm going to encourage you to continue to lean, draw support from the guideline, pause. It's interesting, Ayya, something hearing you say, this is radical, this pausing, this radical. It confirms what I experience when I'm pausing. I realize, wow, this is the whole teaching here of the Buddha. Because as soon as you pause, release the mind from its content. There's no clinging. This is the freedom we're talking about. It's the freedom of non-clinging. So be generous in this contemplation, in offering yourself a pause as a speaker, as a listener, contemplating momentary inclination of the mind, momentary orientation of the mind, noticing, identifying, and sharing on that experience of your present moment intention. And then be curious about how, if this is the present moment orientation of the mind, how is it shaping the rest of your experience? Your perceptions, your mood, your feelings, your thoughts. Share about that as well. You may even want to notice what's the sense of being with the other as soon as you have identified and talked about the present moment intention. So the last thing you will hear is a bell that will be inviting you to your breakaway room. As soon as you get together with your friend, pause and notice the experience of making contact. Not through only the eyes, but also the other senses. What happens as soon as we are together, ready to practice? Pause to see. After your greetings, decide who is going to be the first speaker, and then right away go into practice. We will then let you know when it's time to switch to a different role. Pausing.
Can you contact me with the mark again? It make mistake something.
I think we can do that. Thank you. So there's an intention to or the wish to be joined with the same partner. And just noticing what's your inclination of the mind right now. How is it shaped by us now being together in the room rather than with your partner? So, continuing the thread of exploration of momentary intention, how it's arising and how it's shaping present moment experience, we would like to take you a little bit further to explore how a momentary intention, once identified, seen and discerned, and once it's spoken, how it actually may even shape or form into an intention, orientation, or direction for your life. And that could be for your own life direction, but also how does it inform your orientation, how you want to be with others, in relationship with others. So for example, we identified, Nolitha, myself, and we're practicing just a momentary wish for comfort turned into Nolitha's realization that actually the life's orientation, opposed to what she thought, was actually orienting towards comfort, being well, being happy. So being curious as you're now exploring together in open dialogue, how something which arises in the moment as an intention may resonate or even shape into something which you wish as a direction orientation for your life and others. And vice versa. There might be something already which you resonate with as an idea on orientation in your life. How does it actually shape the present moment intention? Or how might it inform a decision you take, even in the moment of being with another person, to speak or not to speak? What qualities may come forth? So with the realization that, for example, one is seeking happiness, comfort, it becomes clear that nobody wants to suffer. You don't want to suffer. Others don't want to suffer. And there is an orientation towards non-harming, which naturally brings forth the quality of kindness and compassion. And perhaps in a moment of a difficulty or conflict with another, this overarching orientation may inform the moment as you remember. So just being curious, how is the interrelationship of intention being shaped and formed, the momentary into an overarching orientation, the overarching orientation informing the momentary. In your experience, perhaps even right now with your diet partner, or as a memory which you can invite into the breakout room now to be explored. How is it? And being generous with pausing, offering yourself the intention of pausing, the intention perhaps even to allow the first impulse to dissipate and see what's the second one. Pause. Relax. And allow. And my verbal gong indicates the moving into the breakout rooms. Ding. Quote by Thomas Merton, Trappist monk and social activist. He says, "Love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another." So whatever we have found in this last hour and a half with another and with each other, whatever intentions have been wholesome and may form right now in a shared intention, may this ripple out beyond the screen, beyond this room, beyond the separations and borders, and be of benefit to all beings. May all beings be free. And I ring the bell with my voice. Ding. Thank you, friends, for your practice.